I felt like this person had bought me so many things almost to assert control over me.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to kind of like see this pattern. We were at a baseball game at a Phillies game one time. And I was like, oh, this shirt is really cute. I want to get this. And he was like, oh, I'll get it for you. I was like, no, that's okay. Like, I'll get it for myself. Because I didn't want to give him one more thing to feel like he had control over me for, that I owed him for, or to be able to use against me. And he did not speak to me for the rest of that game because he was so upset that I did that myself. This episode, we did not put on our calendar. It put itself on our calendar.
By like every guest.
It has been mentioned by almost every guest, or in every conversation that we've had in solo episodes. There has been something that has come up about love languages. And we were like, we need to do an episode and just like really get into what these are, how they interact in just like your everyday life and your relationships with people and your marriage. Mm-hmm. And then there's apparently a whole subset or ways that it works for children too. And as I started reading about it, it makes so much sense. What's been your, like, what have you known about love languages? When did this first come to you?
So I definitely shined a flashlight in Eric's eyeballs probably 6 seconds after we started dating. And I was like, take this quiz. And he's like, you're a psycho. And he was physical touch, quality time. I always call him a caveman. I'm like, you're like, ugh. Okay. And I am affirmation and physical touch, like hold my hand and tell me that I'm pretty.
Yeah.
And I actually did one today on the lovelanguage.com, official lovelanguage.com. It wants you to pay. I didn't. But my words of affirmation.
Link in the show notes, there's going to be a couple different links that you can use to take the test yourself. But go ahead.
I mean, the other option is buying the book, and I don't really want to read the book, so I might just buy the results. But my number one is 37% words of affirmation. Like, I want you to tell me how amazing I am and that you appreciate me and love me. But the biggest issue with love languages for me, and this is love language 101, you can't love other people the way you want to be loved. And that is what I do. I drown my husband in words of affirmation, and he's like, thanks. Yeah. And it just doesn't work. So what is your experience with love languages?
So what are you and your husband? I found out about love languages probably like early 20s. I actually remember being
in college or something. Yeah.
I remember being in my first job, and like it was like my best friend or something started talking about this thing, and it's, you got to take this test and you got to figure it out. And I took it. I forget what my results were back then. And I remember her being like, oh, I would have thought yours was something completely different. And so then it was interesting that I was just different than what she thought. It's funny because it's actually been something that's been coming up in our relationship too, not even just in this podcast, but with me and Mark, because we are together all the time. We both work from home. We both are together with the kids all the time. You know, he doesn't really travel that much, maybe like once a month for work. We're together all the time, but I still crave something different. Like the quantity of time isn't good for me. I need quality time. Like I need a date night where we can just connect, or you don't want
to both be in the kitchen making a coffee at the same time. Like you did the cutest thing the other night. You guys went and watched the sunset.
We did. It was really sweet. Yeah. We had a date night, and like
your pack mule husband, it was like trudging
he had all
across
the beach chairs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really feel like going to a dinner or doing something.
No.
And he was like, do you want to just like sit in the car, like down the street, you know? So we actually
like go to first base.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, we went to the beach. He brought beach chairs. We had like to-go cocktails, and we just sat and watched the sunset. And you know, we do that often with our kids, but it's just different. You're like, somebody's getting sandy, or somebody fell, or somebody whatever. And it's like that quality time to
dump in his pants. Yeah, something.
To just like sit there and connect with each other. And that's all it has to be. And like that to me means so much more than different gifts or different words or whatever. Like I need to have that quality time. So unsurprisingly, the same test that you took, 30%, my highest one was quality time. And he even knew that. Like he said, he's like, I know that your love language is probably quality time, and I need to take that into consideration more, that even though we're together all the time, I do need to like stop what I'm doing and make time just to connect with you. So he's starting to know that. So he also took the test. And then after this, we'll actually get into what each of these are. He took the test, and he is words of affirmation, which I knew. And if you remember a couple episodes ago,
I am
had
Mark
said,
and you are Eric. That we
really?
are opposite. Yes, you guys are like cavemen, and me and Mark are like, tell me something that I don't know. And you're like,
remember
I don't
a
know.
couple
Get away
episodes I
from
had
me.
said that I like stopped as we were like taking the pillows off the bed one night and was just like, hey, I really love you. In case I haven't said that to you today, I just want to let you know. Oh, he was like fainted onto the floor like a Disney princess. Yeah. He really does. Like words mean the most to him.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, it is interesting. Going through all of these are very interesting. They make you look at different things in your relationship. But so if you're saying to yourself, you've never heard of it, I'm pretty sure you've heard of love language. But if you haven't, there's 5 love languages that describe the 5 ways that people receive and express love in a relationship. So the 5 of them are words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. This was developed by an author and a pastor. His name was Gary Chapman. He wrote this book in 1992. So it's not, you know, back in the dark ages. This is relatively new in the scheme of things. And
but we didn't have
theory,
TikTok back then to talk about.
We did not, no. His whole theory is that people tend to naturally give love in the way that they prefer to receive the love. So as Kacie just said, but when you're dealing with a partnership of somebody else, that may not do it for your partner. That may not.
No,
it may
like if
not even
Eric's
be on their
going
radar.
through something. So let's do a real life example. I'll go first. If Eric's going through something that's like tumultuous or something, here is a big disconnect. Like when he was still playing baseball and I would try to like encourage him, it would just miss the mark.
Really?
Like I was just like, well, what about this? So what about this? Oh, you're the best. I'm so proud of you. And he's like, yeah, you don't get it. I'm like, yeah, I don't get it. But, and it was hard because I felt like I couldn't be there for him. So now in his podcast space, I feel like I can be there for him, but I'm there for him too much. Like I'm the person that says like one too many sentences and I lost him. Like he's just like, yeah, the first paragraph that you said, the first half of the monologue would have been sufficient, but you just kept going. And
so then if he's quality time, then how do you translate that into being a productive way of support?
We like watch programs together.
Okay. Or do you say like, oh, tell me about the podcast or tell me what you have coming up on it?
Like biggest
like
source.
Basically investing interest into something that he's interested in, like yes, to spend that quality time. So
he had a call yesterday. He has this new podcast and he had a call yesterday with like a potential partner. Mm-hmm. So he gets off the call and I'm so excited because like my agent's helping him with it, who's obviously in the TV space. One of my former colleagues is like involved. So it's just like an exploratory conversation. And I'm like, how did the call go? This is awesome. And it was right after we got off the podcast. So I'm like hyped up and like, you would think that I like just like snorted a line Adderall, but I did not. But you know, like you get like whenever we do a podcast, I have to like decompress afterwards because you're so up.
Yes.
So I come barreling into the kitchen. How was it? And he's like, well, it was great. I finish his sentences because, and every time I see an ADHD thing on Instagram, I finish his sentences. And that, I think that I'm being collaborative.
Right.
I think I'm being
that's interesting.
Encouraging.
Yeah.
I think I'm being like savvy in the business world. And he's like, and I can see him physically like
just shut down.
Just shut down. I'm like, you did it again. Because
he probably sees it as you trying to like get into that space or to like take over for him or just like not let him finish or like that he doesn't have the skills or the tools to like describe it himself. He just
always says, he's like, can you just listen? Can you just listen? And I think that I'm being a hype beast. Like I'm like the guy in the back that's like, yeah, like after everything he says. And he's like, no, just listen. So it's so hard for me. And I'm like doing 100 things and I'm like trying to make a salad. And like, I just need to like, I need to be a better listener. I do. And it's my raging neurodivergency that gets in the way. But I do need to be a better listener. Cause like even sometimes where he and I are of the same opinion, I will take it a little too far. And he's like, okay, like that's too far. But I need to get better
like
at
your
that.
way of like, you're trying to latch on and like connect with him.
I'm trying to connect with him and say, you know what? I affirm your stance, your opinion.
You are exactly what this author talked about, Gary Chapman. You're talking about like you are trying to love in the way that you want to be loved. So because
Correct.
you want that connection, you want somebody to take your words and be like, yeah, exactly what you said. Yeah. And that's not how he does it. So it is like, here we are, two raging.
So what do I do? You can send me a bill. What do I do?
Yeah, right. So he's saying that better communication between couples can be accomplished when one can demonstrate caring to the other person in the love language that the recipient understands. Now, there has been some criticism of this, and some people have come out and been like, this is kind of BS.
And people say it's like not based in science.
It's not based in science. They're saying, so there have been specific scientific studies on the validity of love languages, and they've been inconclusive. Obviously, they didn't use Casey Hosmer for the study, or they would have said this is pure gold. So there was this one psychologist, Julie Schwartz-Gottman. She doubted the whole concept of it, saying that like there's not a primary love language, and the usefulness of it was that you're like only receiving love in one way. And she's saying there's like a whole range of it. So like maybe that's where they've adjusted some of these tests, and that they're giving you like percentage.
Well, the one I sent you was that they expanded it to 7.
Right. So now there's more that are coming in.
But it's not, it's Gary Chapman, but I don't know if he did the 7. I don't know if somebody else did the 7. I wasn't able to figure that out.
So there are a couple things I want to point out, and then we'll go through each of them.
Wait, you give an example of you and Mark.
Example of me and Mark. Okay, so I just said about mine, where like quality time is
clearly
really good
you're
for
the
me.
bad guy. Me and Mark are the right guys.
Right. But at the words of affirmation, I did give the example basically.
No,
of
like something saying, where you guys miss the mark, like something
where we missed the mark.
No pun intended.
He's definitely, well, this is actually something I want to talk about later, but he's definitely a more physical touch person. And I've mentioned it in other shows where like he wants to come and hug me or like be affectionate at a time where I'm like, I am in the middle of cleaning this kitchen and you are slowing me down, and this is not the time for a hug. So there's been that.
What about like a communication thing?
I mean, I'm sure there are aplenty.
Like the one I described for me and Eric always happens. Like he'll come to me with something and I just take it an inch too far. And he's like, come on, man.
Yeah. I think some of that happens like with family, where there will be things.
So you and your husband never fight?
Oh, no, we fight all the time.
Okay, about what? Where does it stem from?
Okay, so there are also sometimes where this was difficult for us. When he is really relaxed, he kind of like shuts down, actually. So there will be times where like we'll be at my family's house.
Yeah.
And he feels so relaxed there that he just kind of sits in the corner, or just like goes and sits with the rest of the guys and watches a show or like a sport or whatever's on, or just.
And that bothers you?
And I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Like, is everything okay? He's like, I'm really relaxed. Like, I'm having a great time. And it's true, because then I start to see other times when he's not relaxed and he's almost like can't shut up, or like is very like a little like jittery. So that was like, I had to, because I guess I've been in other relationships where like if they want to leave or they want to get out of something, like they're miserable and they sit in the corner.
That's
like
definitely
like,
how I am though. Like if like my parents are here and like I am so relaxed, and like my mom's got Jack, or like my dad will wake up with Jack or something like that. But if I'm around people that make me uncomfortable, I don't shut up, and I'm like constantly in motion. Yeah.
Where him, and I had to learn that I'm like, oh, this is actually really nice that he feels comfortable enough in this space to completely disengage, because he is a businessman and engaged at top speed all day long normally. So for him to feel that way is true. Actually, you know, we joke here a lot, but like love language for Italians is food. And that's always been something that like my mom wants to make food for him, and he just like could care less about food, which is like the craziest thing to me. But I had to like teach him in the beginning. I'm like, listen, her making this is her way of showing love. Like she's so sweet. She's always like, oh, for your birthday, like I'll make you whatever you want. And he's like, I'm like fine with takeout. Like I don't really care. But you know, but now he's like, oh, Lynn, that sounds great. Can't wait.
Oh yeah. He's a hype beast. Yeah. He just hypes her up, and he's like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I want more from you. What's like a big point of contention that you guys miss each other?
I'm sure there are. Maybe by the end of the episode, I'll think about it. Like I said, a lot of it comes around on family. There have been definitely instances where like his family is here, and then like he just like disappears.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't fun for me. Like, why aren't you? He's like, I don't know. I guess I didn't think like, da, da, da. I'm like, but your family came to spend time with you. So like, and I guess that's him missing the quality time thing. Like, I'm like, they didn't just come here to like come to Florida. They didn't just come here to see you for 10 seconds. Like, why are you booking a golf game with friends when your family flew in for 3 days?
Right.
And he kind of misses that quality time thing with all of his friends. It actually was a really big thing. Oh, okay. I'll tell you. All right. Now I know. Now I know. Here it is. Here it is. We have arguments about gift giving, which that is one of the 5 love languages, receiving
Whose
gifts.
is it? Yours?
It's not my, I don't look at the material thing. I look at the effort that went into it.
Correct.
So I don't need some designer craziness or like whatever. Like, I don't care if it's that you passed the bakery that I love on the way home.
And got me a cinnamon roll on a Tuesday afternoon.
That's all I want. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to know that I crossed your mind and you wanted to do something to show your love for me in that way. Mm-hmm. Where he feels, well, I don't know. I just want you to pick it yourself. Like, what's the difference? So this is what we've always talked about. Like, we have family that owns a beautiful jewelry store back in Philadelphia. And so it's kind of like a layup, like holiday or like something. I'm like, hey, let's go support the fam. And like, get
all you have to do is send a you up text, send me what you have in stock. Like, that's it.
100%. And when he'll just be like, I don't know. So like, do you want to go and just pick something out and then like have them tell me what it is? I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. That it's not the gift that means something to me. It's either the thought or the quality time. He's like, but I don't want to do that because I want you to get something that you like. So why am I going to go in there and spend money to pick something that you're not going to like? So then I said, fine. Then why don't you say, hey, tomorrow, let's go out to brunch. And then I'm going to take you to the jewelry store. And then we'll spend that time together and we'll pick something out. I want it to be something that you really love. So this has been a multi-year excursion to get this to really sink into him.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes that's when I get the most frustrated, when I'm like, we have literally talked about this so many times. And for you to sit here and stare at me on Mother's Day and say, well, I didn't know what you would want.
So maybe it's more so in the delivery for you than it is in the sentiment itself. Because for me, it's like everyone wants the Sweet Home Alabama. Oh, I rented out Tiffany's, pick something. Mm-hmm, like everyone wants that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, not on that level, clearly. But you want him to like take charge and be like, we're going for brunch and you're going to pick a diamond bracelet and you're going to like it. And you're like, yes, Daddy, I will like it.
You know what a lot of it is that like, listen, I have a beautiful life. My husband is amazing to me. And we have a just so many wonderful experiences and great things that we have in our life now. You know, it wasn't always this way. We went through really tough patches in the beginning with just some of the trauma that we had. But
well, you both lost parents. Yeah. I mean, like right before that is detrimental to a human being, let alone a brand new couple. You weren't a brand new couple, but a newly married couple.
The argument that I have had with him is that all of the wonderful things that come to me are also things that come to him. Mm-hmm. Like he does things for both of us. And that's great. And that's not to say that I don't value those things. But my point is like every now and then I would like something that doesn't also benefit you. Like it's hard for me to say, yeah, that's really great that you booked this trip, but like, it's kind of because you wanted to go to this place. You didn't really say to me, like, where would you like to go? Or let me book this thing, or let's do this, like, just for you. Like, I think sometimes I have a hard time peeling back of like, is he doing this because he wants to treat me to it and he wants to show me that quality time together? Or is it because it's something that he wants to do?
But see, so many women are listening and they're like, oh my God, I wish my husband would book something. So it is, and to your point, you see the bigger picture. You're not pigeonholed in like, oh my God, everything he does is wrong. And that's another thing. We're having a divine feminine specialist on because that creeps into the waters of like and this is not anti-feminist, but it is being in your feminine and allowing him to be in his masculine. And both of us are in our masculine a lot.
So what this brings up for me, and one of the issues that I wanted to talk about here with love languages, is does your love language change based on the relationship? Because as I'm taking these quizzes and they're asking you questions like, what means more to you? Your husband coming home with a Prada bag, or your husband showing a ton of affection as you're out at a couple's dinner? What
Making
means
out with
more
you at
to
dinner.
you?
Yeah.
Your husband, right. So there's questions like that. And to me, it's like, what means more to me with Mark, my husband currently, probably wouldn't be something of physical touch, because he's so giving with physical touch. Like I said, I never have to question his love for me because he is constantly showing that to me in that physical space.
Right.
But previous relationships that I've been in, physical touch was everything. Physical touch was everything because I needed that constant.
Okay.
Yes, because I needed that constant reminder from them. So that is what I wonder if it's like, maybe
that bucket is full, so you don't worry about it. Yeah.
Right. From that specific person. Like, I almost wonder if you were to have taken love language tests with various partners, how would you have felt? And maybe that's the thing with Eric. Eric feels like you are so giving of words of affirmation that it means nothing to him anymore, because like you applaud him for going to the bathroom.
Well, seriously, think back to like previous I'm trying to think back to previous relationships. Like I'm thinking like there was an ex-boyfriend who was words of affirmation, was physical touch, which are the things that I need, but wasn't necessarily acts of service. And like that's something I think you're right. I think it depends on who the partner is and at what point you're at. Yes, what cup is
filled enough.
Yeah.
That like if you have somebody that just constantly gives you words of affirmation, you're going to be like, well, wait a second. Like, does that really mean anything anymore? Because it's so much.
Well, yeah, because if it's all talk and no action, you're not even like, I don't get like a slap on the butt in the kitchen every day. It's like,
So I it's kind of hard to do that retroactively. But it'd be interesting to hear from listeners if they have experience with that. Like if they've been into love languages and have done this with other relationships that they've had. But so that's my big question with this is like, does that change? Or are you really just, maybe the percentage changes, but like, are you really one and that is your one and that's how you do it?
And I wonder if it changes though after you have kids, because you're way more focused, not way more, but I mean, your focus is definitely switched to your kids a lot of the time.
Sure.
So yeah, at the end of the night, when you have 3 hours before bedtime, it might be different.
There's also a theory, this is the other big thing I wanted to hit, that your love language is what you lacked as a child. It tracks for me. Does that track for you? Do you feel like you lacked words of affirmation as a child?
No.
Okay.
I don't, but I do. So my dad wasn't raised in an overly like physical touch lovey family. So it took him time to be like physical touchy and like huggy and like handholdy or like locking arms. So he wasn't geared towards that. Like I didn't grow up and my parents weren't always like making out. I mean, I don't think that's appropriate, but like that wasn't what I saw. Like, you know, like I saw words, I saw acts of service. Like my dad would do anything for my mom. Like if she was like, blow out that wall and move the kitchen upstairs, he'd be like, okay. But yeah, I think maybe the physical touch is
what you thought
was maybe something, but not from my mom.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
You know, I think I come from a very unique situation, and hearing you talk about that, where my dad was overly affectionate with me.
Yeah.
In the best way, just constantly, like even like in funny, like poking me, pinching me, doing that little thing where you take his knuckle and like kind of like go like that, or just like.
But you guys are soulmates. Like you and your father are soulmates for sure. Like in a platon.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
He was like a big brother too in that way. Like we were very playful with each other.
Yes.
But for being an older, Italian male, that's like very unheard of to be that like physical touch type of thing. Yeah. I also wonder if it was because he did lose his dad young, that like he felt like he kind of missed out on that and he wanted to give that to me. I also am sure if I talked to my mom, she would say otherwise and that he was not a physical touch person. I'd be interested to hear
but
like
you
what
were the only
what that
child
was like.
And you were the princess and you guys were both in Philly.
Yeah.
Like you guys had the best relationship.
But I do feel So then being an only child and with my mom remarried and, okay, so I could say I lacked quality time with my dad because I didn't see him all the time. And there, unfortunately would be periods of time where he wasn't around and I wouldn't see him. With my mom and got remarried, it was like they were kind of off working on their relationship. And I was an only child and and I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I loved having my alone time. And that's why I'm so independent now. But I really craved quality connection with my mom.
Yeah.
And with parents and with anybody that this time felt special. And so that is 100% tracks for me now.
Do you think that's why you decided not to only have one child?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what else have we got here? So let's go through what each of them mean. You're sitting here listening to us talk about all of these things. And if you're still a little unsure. So words of affirmation is about expressing affection through spoken words, praise, or appreciation. When this is someone's primary love language, they enjoy kind words and encouragement, uplifting quotes, love notes, cute text messages. You can make this person's day by complimenting them or pointing out what they do well. Maybe I need to start putting little Post-it notes.
That would, oh my God, that would set him on fire. He would spontaneously combust. You would just hear an explosion in the bathroom and Mark's head would be all over the wall.
Would you do that if Eric did that for you? If you woke up in the morning and there was a Post-it note on your mirror
mom did
and
that
said,
for
Kacie,
us.
I love you.
My mom did that for us. She would put notes in our lunch boxes. We had a planner for school where we would write all of our homework assignments and the parents had to sign it every night.
Sign off on it, yeah.
She would write little notes in there. My mom is the most thoughtful, always sends handwritten notes. I'm so proud of you. She is words of affirmation, biggest fan, biggest cheerleader. So that's where I got it. She would leave little notes and I do that for Eric and he has kept some of them, which is
cute. So that's interesting. So then on the heels of what we were just talking about, it's almost yours is based on not what you lacked as a child, but what you were,
what I saw
given so much as a child. Yeah. And this is where I think it's funny because it's okay, so for you, you're that's so freaking easy to do. Why can't you just do that for me? But maybe for Eric or for others that are going through this, if that's their partner, you're that's so dumb. Or
that's not how I was raised.
That's so weird. Or that doesn't even make sense. Or why would I do that? That is, that's not
that
the first line of defense for them to think of to doing that.
Right.
Because that's kind of how I feel. I'm that feels a little cheesy.
You're
I don't
loser.
know that I would want to do that, but yeah.
Can you try that? Can you do that tomorrow for Mark? And record him when he goes to the bathroom. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think he would be
you would have a third child. You would be you would be pregnant.
So nice. Yes. Yeah, no, he'd be
yes, he would attack you. Yeah.
What is going on? What are you trying to tell me? What's happening? Yeah, he would definitely be confused. Okay, well then what's the thing so what's Eric? Eric's is quality time.
And physical touch.
What could you do to make his brain explode? Let's listen to what quality time is.
Okay.
Someone with this love language, aka me and Eric Hosmer, my twin flame. Someone with that's also why I think that you and I are such good friends because there's such similarities between our husband
what
as
each
people,
other is.
but then there's so much similarities between our spouses and ourselves too. This is
we were each other's placeholder. We were Eric and Mark's placeholder for 10 years before they came along.
You're so right.
We're both a lot shorter than them, but
so funny. Okay. Quality time. Someone with this love language values your full presence when you are together. They feel most love if you give them your undivided attention and spend time together in a meaningful and interactive way. This means putting down the cell phone, turning off the computer, making eye contact, thoughtfully interacting, and actively listening. It's all about quality over quantity. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say.
The only word I took from that is listening, which I do listen.
Here's what I'm going to say to you. You, since I have known you, and I know it's really hard to break this after being in the industry that you were in, are glued to your phone.
Yeah.
You just are. That's the cycle of news. You need to know what's going on.
I will put my phone down.
Yes, but it's if he sees you doing that all day long and he feels okay, that's always going to be more important to her. Or like, oh my gosh, there might be a moment. Is it okay to even start a conversation with her right now? Because there might be something that she just picks up. And then also just being a mom. And I'm sure there's like, so many listeners that are probably dealing with this right now. Like you said, like our brains are going in 1,700 different directions.
So usually he's on his phone more than me, but yes, I would be on Amazon, like ordering things.
Yes.
And he's like, you're on your phone and not paying attention to Jack. I'm like, Jack's right next to me. I'm literally ordering toilet paper.
Right. Where you're thinking I am doing something for my child.
Correct.
At this exact moment. And he's like, you're not paying attention to your child.
Correct.
So yeah. That is something that happens in our house as well.
But this is you too. So you break down what you're not getting.
Like I said, I want to feel, and I feel it with both. My quality time is not even just with my partner, but I feel it with everybody. Listen, I had a big kind of, I don't want to say argument, but it was like a come to Jesus moment with my mom a few weeks ago that I started to be like, we both live in Florida for 9 months of the year. And then we go to separate places up north. And I was like, listen, it's almost the end of March. We only have 2 months left. And I feel like I've barely spent any quality time with you. Have we been together a lot? Yes. But a lot of it has been with other family, with friends that are visiting. We're on the boat or we're at the beach or we're doing things together, but it's not me and her one-on-one time. It's not sitting at lunch, really discussing things and really getting that time. And I've said like, we need to make a valid effort to do that a little bit more because I'm like, my throat is closing up being like, it's almost June and we have to go to our separate places and then I don't see you for 3 months. So
that's interesting.
Since that, we've made such an effort. Yesterday, actually, beautiful day. We went to Target together. We picked out the kids' Easter basket stuff.
Oh, I love that.
Then we went to lunch together, had a great time. We went shopping for her birthday together. Like we had the best time. And that to me means more than seeing her every single day of the week. But with 100 people and we're in different directions or I'm with the kids going here and I can't even really listen to anything that she says. Same thing with my kids. When we went on a family vacation this year, I feel like we probably talked about it after the holidays because I was like, oh my God, traveling for 7 days with children is not fun.
Well, I think you expired. I think it was fine until like 3 or 4 days. And then you were like,
I did when I was like, I'm not getting quality time with my kids because Mark and I are actually running in different directions. One's taking a nap at this time. One's taking a nap at another time. The family's doing stuff with them. Like I needed that foundation. And this is actually something that I learned from my therapist lately is that like my foundation consists of my mom, my best friends, my children, and my husband. And when something is off with what I perceive to be the quality of the time that I've spent with them, like my whole system shakes up. So I've realized how much like this love language thing is like really tied into how my whole system works.
So that's not
like even
not
like the
one
other
of
night.
mine.
The other night when we had an event on Thursday night and I went and was fine and okay, whatever. And then I went, but it was like exhausted by the end of it and wanted to go home. Went to another event on Saturday and I felt like I had such a great day with my kids that day that I felt like my cup was totally full, that I could be really present at the event. And I was like energetic and raring to go because that like I had that quality time cup filled up. I don't know. Does that make sense?
This makes a ton of sense because quality time is not one of my love languages. And I had this profound epiphany right after Christmas. My family came down for a full week. My brother took off work. My dad took off work. My sister took off work. My whole family was in one house. Incredible for a whole week. I had this like profound epiphany where I said, how well do I know my dad and my brother? And I was like, wow. Like how well, I mean, I talk to my dad all the time. I talk to my brother, not as much as I would like, but I see them once a month, once every 2 months. But it's not quality time. It's all of us together. It's everyone's running here. Oh, we have this event. Let's rush here. Uber here. New York City. Like craziness all the time. And I'm like, how often do I really sit down and like ask my brother, like, what are your dreams? What are your goals? What are you into? I mean, Lachlan's not that person. He is literally the same as Eric. Like he does not want to talk about that foo-foo BS. I asked him if he was on a dating app the other day. He's like, "Hey, shut up." I was like, "Okay."
It's like, ew.
But I was like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying like you need that quality time. My mom will always say like, I never get to talk to you. Like we don't chat anymore. You never have any stories for me. And I'm like, oh, I'm just boring. And like I'm going on 100 miles per hour. And I think that's something that I need to work on. I'm doing nervous system regulation, which we'll have Katie Childs on in a few weeks to talk about that. I need to slow the hell down.
Yep.
And that is my biggest thing. And I am realizing I have these beautiful relationships and these wonderful human beings in my life, but how strong are those bonds? Which is
and that's the thing about
crazy
motherhood in
thing
general.
to think.
That's the thing about motherhood in general. We are spread so thin.
But I feel guilt from it. I feel an immense amount of guilt from it.
Yeah. Yeah. But like our capacity for these relationships becomes very thin and fleeting. But the value that they give to us is so immense. So then it becomes this push and pull of how much can I and should I be investing into this relationship? And it's hard to sit there and say to yourself, but I am so exhausted. The last thing I feel like doing is going to this lunch with enter person here tomorrow. But then you go and you're like, I'm so happy that I did that because I did really need that quality time with them.
But Lachlan and I lived together for a year when I was working in Boston.
I remember. I was up there. Yeah.
But he was studying for the LSAT. He was miserable studying for that. I was working ridiculous hours. So like we'd see each other at midnight for an hour and have a glass of wine together and then we'd go to sleep. But it's like, that was definitely special, a really special time for me. But no, it makes me feel guilty, especially talking to you. Like you lost your father. And I'm like, wait, how much of a relationship do I have with my father? Like I do. I'm not saying I don't have a relationship with him, but you know what I'm saying? Like how deep is it? I don't go on just lunch with him.
Yeah, I think and I don't think that's anything you should fault yourself for. And there's no guilt that you should feel around that. I think that is kind of natural to feel like, well, these people are in my life and they're always going to be there. And so I just don't have time for it now. And I'll get to it one day.
But that is our greatest fault as human beings. Yeah. We think we have all the time in the world, and that is the thing we do not have. And that's what you realize once comes a time in your life. I don't know if it's mid-20s. I don't know if you have to lose somebody, but there comes a day where you wake up and you realize your parents' mortality. And there comes a day when you realize your own mortality. And there comes a moment where you are like, holy crap. I am on this wheel and I don't know when it's going to stop. And I don't know when all these other people in my life are going to be taken away from me. And that is the thing that stops you in your tracks and makes you reevaluate everything.
Well, like we've talked about it before, it's really hard when you're in this space as a mom to not understand that this isn't forever, that this chaos and instability and pace of life that we're in, like you said, it's like you're sitting there with Jack, but you're ordering something on Amazon and you're doing this and da, 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 and I'm the same way and I have to run here and I have to go to Target and I have to do this. It's really hard to feel like that is not the new way of life and that is how it is forever and da, 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 and I'm just not going to have time for that. And like, it's not. And one day it's not going to be that way. And it's going to be important to still have those relationships around you and still have those relationships there. And that's the thing I think is most important to learn about with love languages is instead of feeling like you have to pour so much of yourself into somebody in your life, whether it be your partner, your family member, your friend, is dissecting these 5 love languages and saying, what's the one that works the most for this person, for them to truly understand that I care about them and that I love them and that I want them in my life and that I am making this effort to connect with them right now. So this is why this is good for moms, so that we can peel back and say, you don't need to waste all that energy. Just look at the one thing that they need and focus on that and let them know that you love them.
What is one thing that you miss your mom's mark on? What's a cup that you don't fill for her? Because you said sometimes she doesn't fill your quality time cup.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder what hers would be. I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to think about that a little bit. I actually would love for her to take this test.
I think my mom would be quality time and words. But like with my sister.
My mom is words. You're right. Now that you just said that, my mom is words. That's actually something that we had to talk about because I said, There are things she thinks that my life just moves so fast and that I don't ever have time for her.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
I
does my
have
mom.
to,
Yeah.
and I have to sit down and say like, oh, there was 3 other people that asked me to do something on that day that we were supposed to have lunch. And I told them no, because I wanted to be with you. Like she needs to hear that, that I'm making her a priority. Like me just having lunch with her doesn't like, I'm sure it makes her feel really good, but she needs to hear that like, oh, I put her first and wanted to do that with her. So yeah, words is hers.
My sister and I disconnect on that because she's definitely quality time. And I'm like, but I do this for you and I've done this for you. And she's like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
I can see that.
I just got an Instagram message from someone, Mary Hill 8259. Why do you think you have more knowledge than anyone else? Isn't this just a moneymaker for you? No, actually, we don't make money.
Why do you think you have more knowledge than anybody else?
I literally don't. We literally start every episode and say like, we know nothing.
Welcome to the Squirrel Show. Yeah. Acts of service. Well, anyway, thank you, Mary, whatever your number is, for that wonderful message.
Let's have her on the show.
Yeah.
She knows everything. All right. What did you say? Acts of service is next?
Next one is acts of service. Acts of service are nice things you do for your partner that make them feel loved and appreciated, such as helping with the dishes, running errands, vacuuming, putting gas in the car. If your partner's main love language is acts of service, they'll notice and appreciate little things that you do for them. They tend to perform acts of service and kindness for others too. I would say this is probably my second on the list.
Yeah, because Mark stepped over the water box in the hallway 16 times.
Mm-hmm. My favorite is that like if we're just like living our life, our entire garage was full of Amazon boxes. He doesn't break anything down. He doesn't bring them out to the curb. There's like every day I play a game of is it blood or is it jelly all over the kitchen, or sometimes my children themselves, because like he's not a organizer, a cleaner, or whatever. That's not his nature. If we have people coming over, that man is all over this house. He is throwing everything out. He's wiping down the jelly. He's cleaning things. He's turning the lights on in specific areas. And for me, that I have to learn, like, I can't get mad at it on a daily basis, because I know when it matters, that act of service comes in and he will do those things for me. But, you know, in some ways it gets a little frustrating, but again, I have to realize, okay, like that's just not his thing.
Okay. So yours are,
well, how does Eric feel about it?
But
like,
yours
does Eric
are quality
acknowledge
time
when
first
you do these things?
and then acts of service?
Probably.
Okay. So how does he feel about a good old written honey-do list?
I'm getting better with those, but we had
I feel mean. I feel like an overlord when I write a list. Eric loves a list, and he loves to physically take a Sharpie. He loves it and cross it off. He loves to do that.
First item on the list, cross off this item. And then he just crosses it off. Loves it. Yeah, no, I'm getting better with that, again, to being like, I shouldn't just expect him to know what to do. I should just write a list and have him do it. Except that on Christmas Eve, I had a honey-do list for him that was on the counter that said Mark's things to do, and he didn't see it. And then when I said at the end of the day, what are the chances that you finish the things on the list? And he goes, what list? I was like, it's on the counter. Well, how was I supposed to know that was for me?
Was there jelly and an Amazon box on top of the list?
It says Mark's list. And then he got very triggered by the fact that I said, what are the chances that you actually did it? Which is fair. I had sass. I became a huge sass hole in that moment. But so I haven't gone back to the list after that incident, but I probably should.
But so what if you ask him, is it about your delivery? Like if you say like, Mark, do you mind doing the Amazon boxes tonight? Or like, what do you do? Or does that trigger him?
I've had to tone myself down in the ways that I say it, or I've had to tell myself, ask before you've gotten to the point where you can't even pretend in your voice.
Sometimes though, I think I have a good tone, and Eric's like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought I had a pleasant tone.
Yeah.
But
I'd be interested to hear from other people who acts of service is like their main love language, and how, because it's funny, like it seems like the most unromantic one of all of the 5, right? That it's like, oh, my husband vacuumed the floor
Maybe
tonight.
that is my mom's. Maybe hers are like words and acts of service, because when we were growing up, she literally would say gas makes me happy, meaning like when your father takes my car and fills up the gas, I am like the happiest person ever. So yeah, acts of service is probably hers.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know.
And then
Next
one is receiving gifts. For someone who resonates with this love language, gifts symbolize love, care, and affection. They treasure not only the gift itself, but also the time and the effort the gift giver put into selecting it. People who enjoy receiving gifts as part of their primary love language do not necessarily expect large or expensive presents. It's more about the effort and the thoughtfulness behind the whole thing.
So would you say that sugar babies are all gifts?
I will say that I have been in relationships, non-sugar baby.
You have not been a sugar baby.
Non-sugar baby type. But I have been in relationships where I felt bought. I felt like the person, I can give a really detailed and interesting story.
Love that.
I felt like this person had bought me so many things almost to assert control over me.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to kind of like see this pattern. We were at a baseball game at a Phillies game one time. And I was like, oh, this shirt is really cute. I want to get this. And he was like, oh, I'll get it for you. I was like, no, that's okay. Like, I'll get it for myself, because I didn't want to give him one more thing to feel like he had control over me for, that I owed him for, or to be able to use against me. And he did not speak to me for the rest of that game because he was so upset that I did that myself.
I think there are some people that are raised that way, to be like, you never make a woman pay for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I do know people like that are like, they do get like deeply hurt when you deny them that that need. But the other part of it is like when you feel like you're a Barbie doll and they're trying to change you and dress you up and you know, fancy you up.
Yeah, I get uncomfortable. And I will say this is actually something too, like I feel like I'm such a giving person that like I want to be able to gift people. This has been something that my best friend Brittany and I, who have talked about on this podcast before, have kind of come to blows with, of like, I feel guilty for not living where she lives anymore. You know, we moved to Florida. I'm not around her all the time. And I want to like give her gifts or send her things. Be like, I'm thinking of you. I love you so much. Yeah. That makes her uncomfortable as hell.
I do that to my best friend Tyler, and she's like, stop.
Yeah. She's like, I don't want to feel like I owe you something. And I'm like, but you don't owe me anything. I'm not doing that for something in return. So we had a big talk about it last summer of like, this isn't like, that's not how or like there were things that were getting crossed where like, I thought I was doing something really nice for her. And she was like, it makes me feel awful that you did that. And I'm like, wow, that was so not my intention. I can't believe that I thought I was doing something to show my love. And it was really like, you felt so disrespected.
Yeah.
So I think gifts can be a very intricate part of a relationship. There are some people that are like, you don't care about me at all because you haven't sent anything, or you are trying to control me, or you are trying to buy me, or you are trying to assert your power, or whatever it is.
Do you feel like people who love through gifts, like, okay, let's go back to the Phillies t-shirt guy. Would any gift, regardless of price, move the needle with him, or it didn't matter to him?
What do you mean? Like a gift that he brought gave
so
me?
He showered you with gifts, but if you gave him a gift, like let's pretend you guys had an inside joke about like a foam finger and you bought him like a foam finger, like, and it was cheap, whatever, it's $10. Would that like move the needle with him because it still is a gift, or I
think so.
Like, okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
I started to recognize though, like it was something in his whole family. Like they all like would fight like cats and dogs, but at Christmas,
oh, it was a show.
It was one of those. It was like we've talked about, like you couldn't make it from the front door to the tree because there were gifts everywhere, and the monetary value behind all of them. So like I realized, you know, like that is just like what he knows.
Yeah.
Apparently. But it was not a situation that I liked. And I remember that being a very profound moment for me of like, oh, this is never going to change in this relationship, that you literally just didn't speak to me for the rest of the baseball game because I wanted to do something for myself, because that to him was the most disrespectful thing I could have done.
Wait, but you did buy the t-shirt.
I bought the t-shirt.
What's the last love language?
The last one.
Physical touch?
Or did we do all of them? We did all of them, right? Or no, we did. Oh, I must have scrolled past physical touch. Yes. Okay. A person with physical touch as their primary love language feels love through physical affection. Aside from sex, so this is not just sex-based, they feel loved when their partner holds their hand, touches their arm, or gives them a massage at the end of the day. This person's idea of a wonderful date night would be cuddling on the couch while watching a movie, slow dancing together with a lot of physical contact, or taking a long walk together while holding hands. They feel most loved while physically interacting with their partner.
Oh my God, yes. If Haas came and like twirled me around the kitchen and did a dip, I'd be like, oh yeah. And I even say that to him, like if we get in an argument, he's like, okay, like I don't know what to say. I'm like, this is what you need to do. I take his hands, I put them here, and just say, I love you so much. We're good. I'm like, that's all I need. Like
Yeah.
I just like I'm like a puppy dog. Like just give me like a pat on the head and like a treat. And I'm like
Yeah.
I'm a golden retriever.
I think it is a really important part of like an intimate romantic relationship because that is something that really differentiates a romantic relationship from.
But his physical touch is a different level of like we both need it, but he's like, let's cuddle on the couch. Let's hold hands. Let's watch TV together. Like, let's sit next to, like, we're same-siders. I know that's like weird.
Oh, we are too. Same-sider, so the booth at a restaurant. I feel like texted me before being like, ew, these people are same-siding on a booth.
No, not me. No, I am a same-sider girl. Also, little known fact about being a same-sider, say what you want, but if you've got something in your teeth, chances are they're not going to catch it right away. You're looking the same way. No, but I think
when the waiter comes and they're like, are we waiting for two more? We're like, nope,
no,
just us on this one side.
But I think our levels of like I have a bucket for physical touch and he has like a normal everyday water glass, 16 ounce glass of water. And I'm like, give me the 2-gallon bucket from Home
how
Depot.
are you? I feel like I'm trying to think of like
how it is. Person. I do everything.
I know
in
this
abundance.
is the thing. I haven't seen you in like physical form and probably like a really long time. I don't remember. Oh, I saw you for like 10 minutes in the summer when I'm
like the Wizard of Oz.
The first couple rounds of this. Yeah. I am a very physical person with friends as well. I am a touchy-feely. I am oh my God, I want to hug you. Oh my God, like, oh, let's cuddle on the couch and watching our show. And I want to like curl up in a blanket together. Like I am just that person to begin with.
You're a cat. You're like,
yeah.
When the cat likes you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes cats want to go away.
Yeah. So I definitely, and it's like, even just like little stuff, like even if sometimes I'm like, I'm really touched out today. This is the last thing I feel like doing. Please don't hug me right now. But like then Mark and I will sit on the couch and I don't like if we're not touching in some way. Like I'll just like throw my leg over his.
Yes.
And that to me, like, I don't know.
Oh,
it's like I'm charging.
Well, sleeping. Yes. So sleeping.
Yeah.
I get so hot. Eric calls me the human heater. And so I will be on my side, but like our toes will be touching. And I'm like, I'm good. Yes. It's like one charge point.
So that's what we got for love languages. Oh, and then children's love language we wanted to discuss. So
is it just play?
They're actually the same exact love languages as an adult, but they're obviously just applied differently. So yes, a large portion of children, especially in this day and age, they are finding that their love language is quality time because parents are spun in a million different directions and glued to the phone. So the biggest way that you can connect with your child is to put the phone away, get down on their level, and spend time doing something with them that they want to do. So instead of being like, oh, you need to learn, let's read this book, or you need to do
come
this.
Come help
blah,
mommy
blah, blah,
make dinner, or come help mommy clean the bedroom. Yeah, they don't want to do that.
You want to get into their world and what it is that they want to do. And that I do realize that with Sienna, like when I really take that time to get into her world a little bit, I see her behavior change and I see her like start to, I don't know, almost like come off of her defense a little bit. But we've
had experts on who have said it is 15 to 30 minutes. It's not 5 hours. Like it is just a drop in the bucket of the grand scheme of the day.
Yeah. And there's also realizing that like some children may not love the physical touch. And for, for them, and that's also something with like other people, like, oh, give grandma a hug. Well, maybe they really don't want to. Maybe that is so grossly uncomfortable for them that we should stop forcing them to do that.
What do you think your kids are?
Oh, I think Asher's physical touch.
Yeah, he's your little love
such
bug.
a cuddler. I don't know if I've talked about this before. I've never had so many people hold a baby and cry.
What do you
There
mean?
have been, I can name enough people on one hand that held him for the first time and just burst into tears.
They cried.
Yes.
Oh.
Because he just like melted into them.
But he
and like
is
put his head on their shoulder.
Bug.
He is a love bug.
And
happy. I think he's a
People always say, "Oh, he's such a happy." No, this child is so is Jack. I think Jack and Asher are the two happiest boys on planet Earth. Yeah. So happy.
Where I think Sienna is that quality time where she like wants people to see her. She has so much to say and so much to contribute, and like she wants people to take the time to like listen to
that. Is she words too, do you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. She's at the age where she's starting to understand the things that you say. And like, I'll be like, Sienna, that was really good. Thank you so much for like doing that with Asher. And she'll get like this little smirk on her face. It's really cute. But I think it's, we really only just learned about the children aspect of this in the last week when we were researching for this episode. And I think when I look at it that way, it is really interesting that, you can apply this not just to your romantic relationships to other people in your life, but also to your children and how that might help enhance your relationship with them. I'm sure as they get older, they'll become this concept of love languages with them will become more enhanced, and you'll be able to realize it a little bit more. Are you seeing anything with Jack that would make sense to know what his love language is now?
I feel like quality time. I have taken on the role 100%. I'm the goofy parent, like totally the goofy parent. I'm the one that makes him like belly laugh. Like he and Eric, they go play basketball for hours. Like this child loves basketball. They'll go play basketball for hours. They'll go outside. I could also see Eric being like,
it's time for dinner. Why are you still messing around with him?
No, literally. No, I'm like that. I'm like, okay, he has to eat. But I'm the rigid one and the rules, but I'm also like the goofball. But I hate being outside. Oh my God, I hate being outside.
It's because you live in Florida and it's 800 degrees.
It's 800 degrees. I get so miserable. But no, like Jack and I laugh with each other. Like we were in the tub the other night and I was like wringing out the washcloth and I was going, squeeze. And he was like doing it and like laughing back. So it's just like that kind of, I'm definitely the village idiot in the family. Like I'm the jester for sure. But I've never taken myself seriously. Like I will always like look like a double S because I don't care. I'm very self-deprecating. I've kind of always been like that.
Well, on that note, I want to end this podcast by saying, Kacie, you're not a village idiot. We all love you so much. And you're a wonderful asset to all of our lives and to this podcast.
And what did Mary say? That I think I know everything?
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I want to tell you, you don't know a damn thing.
You're not an idiot, but you know nothing. We're learning every day over here.
Thanks for listening to another episode with us. We will talk to you soon.
Bye.